Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Nelson, and I am a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine here at Chi Integrated Health. Today we're going to talk about what acupuncture actually is, how it works. We're also going to talk about dry needling, or IMS, intramuscular stimulation, which is performed by physiotherapists. So let's get started. What is acupuncture? If you think of your body as an electrical grid system, you have organs and you have pathways running to and from those organs. When there is disease or distress in the organ, or there's a blockage along the pathway, we will have pain. We will have manifestations, symptoms, manifestations. So let's use the liver as a good example of this. The liver's function in Chinese medicine is to regulate the flow of qi in the body. And so if we are experiencing a lot of emotional trauma, emotional upset, which we talked about earlier, you will notice symptoms in the liver channel. So what do they look like? The liver qi stagnation, which is a really common thing people suffer from, is a lot of pent-up emotion. So anger, resentment, those are the primary ones. What will we see? We will see issues with the stomach. We will see issues with women's periods. They will have painful periods or periods with a lot of clot in them. People will experience headaches in the vertex of the head. And if there's a lot of emotional upset, what people will often report is just below their ribs in the hypochondriac area, there is pain. So if you just press along your rib cage and it goes in, it's really painful after an argument, or you're going through a lot of breakups or trauma with a spouse or things like that, people will experience pain in that area. That is called liver qi stagnation. And so what the needles do is they work to release the blockages. They work to release the energetic blockages. And so in the case of if there's issues in the stomach, there'll be alternating constipation or diarrhea. There'll be stomach upset and bloating. And so again, we use the needles to basically run above the belly button, below the belly button, and beside the belly button to restore balance and harmony into the digestion area. So if you think of the body's electrical grid system, the needles help regulate the flow of energy in that area, in the areas that are blocked. And so where there's blockages, there's usually pain. And we see that a lot in neck and shoulder issues. So if you have a lot of tension in your neck and shoulder, if you have poor posture, you've had a car accident or whiplash, or you've fallen, or just a lot of stress, we will notice knots in this area. And what tends to happen is when this area gets really knotted, people will start to experience headaches or migraines that come up the back of the head, back of the occiput. If it's a lot of blockage, like it's really, really lumpy and knotted, they will get numbness and tingling going down their arm. And so what the needles do in that case is it's like popping a balloon. So where there's a lot of tension, we will needle into what we call the motor point. And the motor point is the most electrical point in that muscle. It's where the blood and oxygen go into that muscle. And so when that gets really knotted and tight, there'll be very specific pain points, and that's when we needle into the motor points. Now, how does that differ from intramuscular stimulation? So physiotherapists use the same needles we do, and they basically just needle motor points. And so a lot of the time their work is done in the neck and shoulder, in the back area, and in the lower back, and a lot in the glute med, the glute max. And so they will needle into those areas, and it feels like an electrical zing. And so my experience has been, and it varies across physiotherapists, is that they tend to do a lot of stimulation on the motor point, and it can sometimes be a very painful experience. But the great thing about needling motor points is it's a pretty immediate release. So you needle that, you feel that electrical sting, zap, and then the muscle relaxes. And so that's why we like intramuscular stimulation. So is that an acupuncture point? Yes, it is. A lot of the acupuncture points overlay on top of motor points. So the Chinese 3,000 years ago kind of figured out, here's where energy gets stored in these muscles, and if we needle those muscles, it releases and the pain goes away. And that's why we like acupuncture for muscular pain. It works really, really well. But we don't just needle that specific point. We will needle the whole channel and open up all of the flow of qi and blood along that muscle and other muscles, or other areas, which help regulate the flow of energy in the body. So for example, along the side of your leg, there's a point called gallbladder 34. That point will regulate sinews and tendons. And so if we're needling further up the thigh, where it tends to get really sore on the iliotibial bands, we will needle there, and then we'll needle lower down, and we'll keep going until we get to the ankle. So we have like the nice flow of arc of energy all the way down the leg. And that's the difference between IMS, intramuscular stimulation, or dry needling, and acupuncture. We don't just needle one point, we tend to needle above and below to complete the circuit, and it tends to feel really, really good. Now, what else are we going to talk about? So, what can acupuncture treat? So, if you think of things that get built up in the body, acupuncture tends to be like a balloon, it pops it. So, that works really well when you've got a lot of muscular pain. So again, neck and shoulders, or you're suffering from migraines. Migraines tend to come up the back of the neck and into the eye. And so if the migraine is caused by muscular pain, or what we call an impeded blood flow to the brain, then acupuncture works really well for that. The problem with migraines is we tend not to know what specifically causes them because they vary from person to person. So if it tends to be more hormonal, where you're getting the migraine close to your period, then acupuncture may or may not actually help with that. So leave that one aside. But if it's muscle pain, neck and shoulders, sciatica, low back, tennis elbow is a great one, golf elbow, anything where it's musculoskeletal, where there's a lot of tight knots, I like to recommend acupuncture and massage. And what I tend to say is try to do both in the same week. Like what happens is if we get really, really tight neck and shoulders, it takes a while to release those. One treatment probably isn't going to be enough because they happen over a period of time. And especially if you're doing a lot of upper body workouts, like a lot of weightlifting, or you're a swimmer, or you just carry a tremendous amount of tension in those areas, it's going to take more than one treatment. So be prepared for 3 treatments over the course of 3 weeks and try to do acupuncture massage. And if we do that, we get really good results with that. So the other, and acupuncture does a lot of things. And so when you're looking for an acupuncturist, it's good to find somebody who specializes in certain areas. So for example, I do musculoskeletal pain. I do a lot of trauma-based work, so emotional healing, and I do facial acupuncture. But acupuncture is like Western medicine. It has specialties. So there may be somebody who does dermatology using traditional Chinese medicine. You'll have fertility, which is a huge area for acupuncture. A lot of women now will get IVF, and they'll have acupuncture on the same day to help with the efficacy of the IVF. And that's a common area of practice, and you want somebody who specializes in that practice area. We have digestive issues, allergies, skin allergies. So when you're looking for an acupuncturist, you want to find out what is their practice specialty. Because with health, the ocean is wide and it's deep, and you want to find somebody who's got a fair bit of experience in the area that you're looking for. But you can always start off with one acupuncturist, talk to them, and they can say, that's not really my specialty. I don't do fertility. I help women, but I don't help, I should say that, I help with the cervical ripening, so when they're ready to deliver the baby, we will step in and use acupuncture to help facilitate the flow of the delivery. But I don't like working with the actual conception part because that requires a lot of expertise and training, and there's people out there that do it far better than I do. But I will help relax the body. So again, get to know your acupuncturist and find out their strengths and their weaknesses. So what have we covered? So what else does acupuncture treat? It's great for, as we said, headaches, musculoskeletal pain. I do a lot of facial acupuncture because I like the results that acupuncture provides to the face. It brings blood and oxygen to the cells, and it brings it to the face because the face is a very vascular area. So when we're doing facial acupuncture, we can get some really, really nice results needling. And so the other thing with acupuncture is it releases excess, but it also helps address deficiency. And what do I mean by deficiency? Deficiency shows up in clinic where people come in, and a lot of the time we see it in their diet. People that are anemic, that have been following a very limited diet as far as food that nourishes blood. And so they come in and they tend to have insomnia, very disturbed, restless sleeps. They're not able to fall into a deep sleep. Their face is very pale. Their hair may be falling out or thinning. Their skin may be very, very dry and snake-like. Their nails very white and brittle. We would call that blood deficiency. And so we would use acupuncture in that case to help nourish blood. And so again, using needles that relate to the stomach and the spleen channel to help generate blood, we would use needles there. But in that case, I would also use Chinese herbs, because herbs can help build the blood as well. And they are plant-based. And so if people come in and they are vegan and they don't want to eat meat, then we will look at other alternatives to help boost the blood. So acupuncture is great where there's excess and we need to release the excess. It's great where there's deficiency and we need to boost the body. And then sometimes we have what we call balancing methods, where there's like excess and deficiency. And that tends to happen in women that are going through menopause, right? So they've typically always run on the cold side, cold hands and feet, and now all of a sudden they're getting hot flashes at night. So they're like cold during the day, and then at night they may have night sweat after night sweat after night sweat. We love acupuncture for this because it balances the body out. It basically nourishes yang, which is the energy, and nourishes yin, which is the fluids of the body. So if you think of a car that is overheating, that's kind of a menopausal woman. They get really hot at night, but kind of cold during the day. So we nourish the yin to cool the yang energy. And so acupuncture does a really nice job of that, as well as, again, Chinese herbs. And especially with menopause, we may be looking at diet changes. So things that put too much heat into the body, coffee, red wine, chocolate, cheese, those are all things that can trigger night sweats. And so we'll often say to clients, look, we need to look at adjusting your body, adjusting your diet as you go through these changes until your body can get regulated. So what does acupuncture treat? Excess, deficiency. It can perform balances. And the biggest thing that I notice in my practice is, if nothing else, acupuncture restores people to calm and to balance. And a lot of the time we need this because then our bodies will take over and start healing itself. So if we've been going through very, very stressful times, I find acupuncture is amazing for calming people down and grounding them, because we're releasing a lot of the excess energy in their body, a lot of the stress, a lot of the mental things that go on in the mind, and then you store it in the body. And acupuncture and healing touch do a beautiful job of bringing people back to calm so that their bodies can kick in, so they can get a good night's sleep, so the digestion settles down. So there it is. There is what does acupuncture do and how does it work in the body. The difference between IMS and acupuncture. And then just some of the examples that we have that we use in practice. So if you have any questions or you'd like more information, you're welcome to reach out to me at julienelsonTCM.com. You can book in to see me at She Integrated Health, and I welcome your feedback. And thank you very much for joining me today.